And so we get to find out everything going on with Charlotte and what's going on with him. And we go like this. How you doing?
Hey!
There he is. What's going on, brother?
You get to hang out with my very good friends, Brant Bronico, Kawan Vargas.
Oh, wow.
The inaugural Sugar Skull.
Oh, wow.
And what I'm just calling Mini-Me.
But, dude, how many of those of you do you have, by the way?
That's limited edition one of those. My parents got that for me for my birthday.
Okay.
And when I posted about it, everyone's like, is this a Charlotte FC giveaway? Is it something that we're doing? And I'm like, no, it's just something my parents did because they thought I would love it because I collect bobbleheads. And I mean, I don't know if it's going to be something they do in the future, but like if they do it in the future, there's got to be sound on it, no?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, there's got to be a sound trigger in there somewhere.
I did I think I can't remember what that week. That was Nashville, the weekend when Charlotte came back from 1 down against Nashville in the 84th minute to win. And I think I did a video with that bobblehead bobbling with the audio underneath of me calling the game-winning goal, and everyone was like, "Oh my gosh, this is crazy!" And I'm like, you know, I don't just imagine these ideas. You know, I do have a little bit of a little bit of marketing savvy.
Oh, I mean, but dude, that would be if
and the likeness of it too is like so good. Like whoever they used, they did a fantastic job.
You were not aware that they might have taken like a still of you or got.
They said apparently it took a couple of rounds from what I heard. They said the first one they got back didn't look a darn thing like me, and so they asked for more pictures. And I have my wife somewhat to blame because my wife, who I absolutely love and adore, I don't think she knew she was in on this, but my wife does take a ton of pictures, as anybody's wife I'm sure can attest to. So from that effect, they did have a lot to go off of.
Yes, and I can relate because the boss is one to take pictures, especially when you're not looking.
Sure.
And you sit there because so now I know that I've got to wear a not ready T-shirt or something.
I can say this because they're not in the States right now. It drives her father-in-law nuts, but that's just an aside.
Oh, I mean, seriously, it's one of those where it's like you're burning so much space when it comes to all of the photos that are taken, whether it's you with an animal, whether it's you eating, whether it's you cooking. I mean,
she sits with them at every Charlotte FC home game, and we have this ritual. We do like a selfie outside, and then she does one with them inside, and she takes a picture of me in the booth. She takes a picture of going down the escalator from the club. I mean, it's a whole thing, and he's just like, "Are we taking another picture? Is this another selfie? Is this another selfie?"
Oh my gosh, that's fantastic.
My parents love her. I promise. I just,
Oh, look,
my dad just has certain curmudgeonly characteristics.
He just reacts.
I loved your talk, by the way. I eavesdropped on your talk with Ross Smith. I loved your talk about John Tavares. Although, again, reminding myself about a weekend coming back from Hilton Head that happened to be NHL free agency day, and the day that Tavares left the Islanders to go to the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Oh,
what a way to ruin an end of vacation for me.
Oh, I mean,
that was awful. My wife and I weren't married at the time, but she got one of her first glimpses of full Will meltdown scenario. It was not great.
Well, full Nelly meltdown usually comes when Florida State is playing football.
Ooh,
and so
are you out on Norvell?
I've been out on Norvell.
Yeah,
brother, I've been out on Norvell for over a year.
I might have unintentionally jinxed them when I said last year that he might be the next coach in the ACC to win a national championship. And after the year they had the year prior, which was, admittedly good. I wasn't, it wasn't a hot take at the time. It is looking every bit the hot take now.
Yeah.
So that's one I got wrong. I'm sorry. My bad.
Yes. The boss, by the way, who has her own fathead.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. As a part of her work, she's a part of the rock group that her branch office has. And so what they do is they have a yearly concert that's a fundraiser. And
that's awesome.
And so you have fat heads produced of all the band members, and you can show support for individual band members and things like that. And so
that's cute.
The boss has her own fat head, and she also is in charge of the TV remotes here in the Imitation Palatial Nelson estate. And so when I go downstairs and I know that Florida State is on television, I always try to find something else to do, because that's the one time when she sits there and goes, I like you having this kind of emotion because I rarely see it from you. And most of the time it's just flat out anger. So I'm watching other things, or I'm working here, and she has on her phone the remote that can change any of the channels on the TV here in the Imitation Palatial Nelson estate. So she makes a point to change the TV, the big 55 down here in the office, to Florida State football, so she can hear me yelling from the bottom of the estate up to the rest of the house.
She wants proof of life, is what it is. I understand.
She wants proof of yelling in the Carlin 7, is what
we're happy this weekend that my wife and I, our teams are playing at non-conflicting times. Her Hoosiers play at noon, and my Missouri Tigers are at Vandy at 3:30. So we will have not too dissimilar to a couple weeks ago when we were doing a road trip during Indiana's trip to Oregon. We listened basically to 6 or 7, I guess it maybe turned into 7 straight hours of radio broadcast calls from Missouri to Oregon. So that was it was interesting. The Sirius XM got to work out, but that is the power of radio.
Absolutely true.
Endorsement for radio,
and that's why we have you on to discuss the series. And as the series continues to evolve, we will obviously have you on to talk about the series.
Impeccable transition from you. Let's talk soccer.
You got NYC coming, and let's go back to Decision Day and some of the talking points from Decision Day that have stuck with you as you get ready for match number 1 of this best of 3 that is coming up early next week. For those that may not know, it's the Tuesday night game at the Bank, where it is the 4-5, and Charlotte's hosting NYC. Go back to Decision Day for me a little bit.
Yeah, we would have liked it to be tonight. But from what I hear from our friends at I got a mole in the ticket office who says that the ticket sales are doing pretty stout. It's going to be a packed house on Tuesday night, but more on the final game Charlotte FC played in the regular season. I want to give full credit to Philadelphia. They put out a first choice side, but one of the things I said coming in is that I'm wondering if maybe some natural complacency sets in a little bit. I think Philadelphia was definitely in the game in the opening portion, but Charlotte FC kind of hit them with a little bit of a blitzkrieg in the 24th minute with a Wilfried Zaha goal, incredible team goal that was started out by an incredible ball from the back line by Adilson Malanda. Kaewin Vargas played a great cross into the middle that was dummied by Idan Toklamati, and then Wilfried Zaha made no mistake and knocked it past Andre Blake. 6 minutes later, Harry Toffolo, who was, quite frankly, our new sensational left back that Charlotte FC, I think, got a real gem in. We've not been able to see him in a lot of opportunities because I think they maybe rushed his start to play. He didn't have a real traditional preseason because he came to us on a free. So they tried to rush him into the lineup, and unfortunately, he tugged a bit of a hamstring. So as a result of that, they kind of had to maybe push pause on him. They haven't gotten him back, didn't get him back to full training until the Monday prior to Philadelphia. So he was on a bit of a pitch count. Wanted him to go maybe about an hour just so that he got himself back in the swing of things and got himself back up to match fitness. And he brings something incredibly different. The fact that he can push high. I said this on another pod earlier this week that this is now the Dean Smith blueprint. Fullbacks who press high, midfielders who are disruptive, and a defense that's tough to beat. And that helps everything else kind of open up attack-wise. And it allows you to do a whole many different things. And I think just Toffolo, with the way that he pushed high, got himself basically across the pitch in the area to find Kaewin Vargas, who made a one-touch, incredible finish, impeccable finish, an incredible turnaround for a player who came to us in our inaugural season as a U22 initiative, very, very wet behind the ears, and has completely turned his game into a full-fledged all-around winger profile. Defense was not part of his game under Miguel Angel Ramirez or Christian Latanzio or on the earlier part of Dean Smith. And I asked Dean about this pointedly. I said, look, what did you do to get Kaewin Vargas to defend as well as he has, to where it's now a big focal point of what he brings in his locker? And he said, look, I told him simply, it's a situation of motivational play. He was in a basically 1v1 battle with Liel Abada for playing time on the right wing over the course of this season. Abada had it won early, and then Vargas kind of had this little come on, and a lot of it was because of his defensive solidarity. And the other thing was Kerwin had a little bit of a problem of keeping his shot on target. And he said, if you keep your shot down and you defend, you become undroppable. And that's what's happened with this. It obviously leads now to the fact of Liel Abada is probably going to have to start this weekend because of what happened with Wilf Zaha in the 89th minute of the match. The red card that was taken, the second yellow for the altercation he had with Jesus Bueno. I think it's a blow, but I don't think it's a punitive blow for Charlotte FC going into this game on Tuesday, because I do think, it's very rare you can take a DP out of the lineup and sub them for another one. And I think, too, the addition of Toffolo and these other pieces around Charlotte FC that are playing rather well, I'm not going to sit here and say that Zaha is not a loss, but there have been games this season where Zaha has not necessarily been the focal point or been a passive point, and they've used other ways to try and beat teams. I do think it's a situation where this matchup is even enough to where I think Charlotte FC can still get a positive result without Zaha, particularly because they're in their home building, which they've been very, very good at, as you know, over the course of this season.
I was going to ask about positional gravity, because of when someone like Zaha comes in and you sit there and that's the shiny object, naturally your defense would gravitate toward pinning him down. Who have been the major benefactors when Zaha has been in the lineup to this positional gravity? Who have been those guys that have been open, that have converted those opportunities, whether it's in scoring chance creation or scoring period?
I need to look up this part of the stat because he's the most fouled player in the league at 125, and that's the most fouled player in the history of Major League Soccer.
30% higher than number 2.
I'm wondering whether or not I'm trying to figure out how many of those fouls have led to set-piece goals for Charlotte FC, because they scored 8 set-piece goals this season, which is more than they have in any of their particular games. They also, of course, have had him draw penalties, multiple ones that he either finished himself. There was the great moment in the Miami game where he earned a penalty and then gave the ball to Idan Toklamati to finish off Charlotte FC's second ever hat trick. So he definitely has the ability to draw attention and, draw 2 or 3 defenders. He's great at swinging the positional part of the attack to the other side. But I think he's also had a great relationship with Idan Toklamati, and he has gotten this bit of a reputation for playing, the through ball through to Idan and behind. That was when Idan was going very, very well. I think Vargas has benefited a lot from him as well. And I also think, too, the central midfielders, Jabril Gianni and Brandt Bronico, a lot of times as decoys, but they will make positional runs into the box when Zaha has the ball, and not having to account for either of those guys who makes that run has freed up Idan in the area, has freed up Kerwin Vargas in the area, or has even freed up Brandt Bronico in the area too. Brandt got an incredible goal back on one of the 9-game winning streak games that got Charlotte FC ahead in a contest. So it is a situation where his presence definitely heightens things for Charlotte FC. They will have to try and find a way to replicate that in the aggregate, as opposed to having him on the pitch. They've had him in games and played well without him, they've had him out of games, I should say, and played well without him. Charlotte, actually, this is way, way long ago, didn't have Zaha on the opening day of the season, played a very, very tough Seattle team. Same Seattle team that beat New York head-to-head, by the way, on decision day, and held it was a 1-0 deficit at the time, and ended up getting a result because of a cross in by Kerwin Vargas that ended up going off of, I believe, Obed Vargas for an own goal on the opening day of the season. And one of the results that Dean Smith said was one that maybe flattered Charlotte FC, but at this point, you're not looking for flattery. You're just looking for the result. And it might take a bit of an uglier type of game for Charlotte FC to win against New York City. But Dean Smith has shown a propensity, more so than any manager that Charlotte FC has had. He's not really concerned with how it looks. He's just concerned about the end product. And I think it might take that type of output. But Charlotte FC has had a real propensity of scoring team goals. It's not about any one player, I think. And while the Zaha being missing is definitely a talking point, I don't think it's the massive pendulum swinger that say people on Apple and the MLS league office have said, completely flips the series to New York City's way.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there's been a lot of there's been a lot of doom tweeting and doom casting when it comes to that particular storyline, but also forgetting the fact that Zaha will be back for game 2 of the series, especially when I think Charlotte FC needs him more so on the baseball stadium at Yankee Stadium.
Yes, yeah, insert baseball stadium here. Yes, the gnashing of teeth and the wringing of hands, especially in the lead up to games. You have to have things to discuss. Basically, where a dean is concerned, it's basically just to show me the baby, don't tell me about the birth. It's like I just
Correct.
want the end product. I wanted to ask about Toklamati and what it's been like to see his game grow and evolve in confidence this season. I know that he was probably a household name in his own household, and that was about it. And he has evolved into this player to watch that's kind of flown below the radar for those of us outside of Charlotte. What's it been like to see his game grow?
So Charlotte has had this ability, and they've kind of, I don't want to say reinvented the wheel, but they've used the mechanism of their B team, their Crown Legacy team, to kind of funnel in some of these talents. It started with Nikola Petkovic a couple of years ago. They brought him in on a $3 million deal, progressed him through Crown Legacy for a season, got him to the first team last year. He hasn't quite cracked the starting 11, but they've tried it a couple of other times. One of those was Idon Toklamati, and they've got a couple of others in the pipeline. They just promoted Baye Coulibaly, and they've got another great attacking winger from Benin, and Rodolfo Oloko, who will more than likely start the winter, I should say, with the first team in preseason, even though he is on a Crown Legacy deal presently, and will have every opportunity to try and compete for the first team roster. Emmanuel Ochegbu is another one who was referenced by Charlotte FC senior leadership, but Toklamati was brought in on a pretty sizable deal last year, but thought it was the quietest $3 million Charlotte FC's ever spent, because you look at it and say, okay, this is a guy who's 18, 19 years old. Again, very, very similar to what we looked at when we saw Patrick Agyemang when he came through. Very wet behind the ears, a lot of raw talent, but something that is a bit of moldable clay. I don't know if many Charlotte FC fans even would have thought that by the end of the year, would Idon Toklamati be the starter and Charlotte FC would be in the position that they're in, because of how much hype was around Agyemang. And while I love Pat, and I think he's going to do great things for Derby County, and I hope he does great things beyond that, and even at the U.S. men's national team level, Idon brings something a little bit different. He's a lot more of a technical player. He is a very thankless runner. He's somebody who's not afraid to do the dirty work and open up things for other people. He's also somebody who I think has a real innate knack of being, when he's on the ball, he can receive the ball in the air, he can receive the ball at his feet, and he also can play 1-2s with dudes as well. He's very, very selfless in that fact. He's got an incredible personality. Obviously, one of the, I think, underlying storylines is that he will play with his countryman, Liel Abada, this weekend if Liel does end up getting the start at left wing. And I think those two, when they're on the field together, have a real great symbiotic relationship. They came from the same Israeli team, Maccabi Petah Tikva. They played also with the Israeli national team as well together in the Olympics. It's something where it's that little bit of that chemistry of having played together that kind of continues that connective tissue. And I think, too, we've only scratched the surface of what we can see for him. I think the 11 goals he scored this season, they've all been very big impact goals. I mean, the 3 against Miami, the one I referenced earlier in the game against Nashville, he has been that X factor. And the fact that you have to account for him, you have to account for Zaha when he's in there, and you have to account for Vargas, who is no slouch. It has made Charlotte FC's attack look so impeccable, even when you think about the fact that somebody who's got 22 goal contributions in Pep Biel is on the shelf. The fact that they've been able to get goals while keeping defensive solidarity, I think, has been the secret to getting them that 9-game win streak in the end part of it and getting them to the top 4 that they so desperately craved.
So then my last question for you as we lead into game number 1, and we'll be talking to you before game number 2 and game number 3 and so on and so forth. What are you the most confident about where Charlotte is concerned heading into this matchup with NYC, and what are you the most concerned about heading into this matchup?
I'm confident they can play well defensively, and that's not disrespecting Alonso Martinez as a striker on New York City. He's incredible. He's impeccable. But the 2 goals he scored against Charlotte FC this season were from the penalty spot. And I think that's something where it might have been, a bit of a wonky game. Toklamati had a stray hand in the box for that second goal. And the first penalty, Dean Smith called it dubious at best. I thought it was a little soft. It was a foul, but I don't know if it was the kind of foul that maybe rose to the level of one you give in the box. It's one of those things where you look at it and say, there were a lot of things about that contest that came in rather wonky. New York was playing very, very well at the time as well, so give them credit for taking advantage. I think New York's kind of come in a bit of a wonky finish, and Charlotte FC is coming off of a very big performance against the Supporter Shield winners. I favor Charlotte in this game. My only question is, will it take penalties, or will they be able to get a touch of class? And I think that's the biggest question mark is there enough class on the field to get the requisite amount of goals to win this game? I don't doubt their defensive solidarity. I think you've got 4 in the back that all have EFL championship or better experience outside of Adilson Malanda, who will be in the EFL championship, maybe even the Premier League by this time next year. So he at least has those bona fides. And you think about Tim Ream, you think about Toffolo and Nathan Byrne, who honestly, if there's an unsung hero on the Charlotte FC team, it's Nathan Byrne, because when he went out, that was kind of the time where things kind of dovetailed downward when Charlotte FC was going in that 10 out of 12 stretch and was struggling to pick up results, struggling to pick up victories. The defensive right back position very much was a turnstile. And I think from that perspective, Charlotte FC suffered greatly. He has come back and completely stabilized things. He's got a great relationship with Malanda on that right side, great relationship with Tim Ream as well. They all know where each other is supposed to be. And I think Kalina has also helped them and bailed them out in situations as well. He's back to that type of level. I think it's an absolute shame that he wasn't at least up as a finalist for goalkeeper of the year for the second consecutive year. I think a lot of people have ignored the metrics on him and looked at only the fact that he was benched in May and June. I still think, he had as many clean sheets as he did a year ago. His XG numbers are insane. And yet, we have people like, Matt Freese, Dane Sinclair, and Takakoa who are up there and just kind of like, I thought that he should have deserved to be in that top 3. I voted for him again. I think he's very much an overlooked player right now, and he's making, I think, bigger saves this year than he did at any point last year. I think he made a lot of comfortable saves last year. I think his back line very much helped him. He has made more of the spectacular saves in this run of, I would say, the last 13 games than I think he made it all at any point of last year.
All right, cut the promo for me as we get ready for game 1 early next week. What do we do?
So we will be on a different station than we're usually on for the first 2 games of this series. We'll be on our News Talk station, News Talk 1110 and 99.3 FM WBT. Getting ready for that one. We'll be on the air at 6 o'clock. We'll have an exclusive interview with Dean Smith that will air at 6:30. It is a longer pregame because of our friends at National doing the game on FS1. So we'll have a chance to have some extended conversation with Dean Smith at 6:30, and then the game at 6:55 for the kick. We'll be on the air 3 o'clock for game 2 a week from tomorrow in I would call it beautiful Yankee Stadium, but it is a baseball field, so there is that. And hopefully we're thinking about going in for a clincher that day, or at least having an opportunity to prevent game number 3 coming our way.
So then this means that 10:30 next Friday, you're coming back to talk about game 2? Maybe.
I can maybe Thursday, depending on this. We will work something out depending on Charlotte FC's training schedule. Yeah. I will give you a game 2 preview at some point at a time to be determined.
Yes, as always, my friend. Great to see you and your bobblehead, which makes me insanely jealous. But yes, when you get the actual bobblehead, you got to have calls.
Oh yes, audio. And I'll send you one as well.
Absolutely, you're amazing. Be well, my friend. Have a great call. We'll catch up with you on the flip side after game 1.